just want to go through some housekeeping business here. The commission has rotating chairs, and the chair for this week's meeting is I was just rotating. Great. I'm going to be the straight man to you all afternoon here. The commissioner who is the chair in this week's meeting and today's vote, Connie Galambis-Malloy, and she will start the proceedings with an opening statement. Following the opening statement, we will open it up to questions. If you'll raise your hands, she'll call upon you, and then if you could identify your name and the news organization that you're representing.
Thank you. After my remarks, I will introduce the full commission. Could I ask to have cell phones turned off before we start our press conference? Commissioner Blanco. Bear with us one moment.
It's yours. I don't know. I didn't bring mine. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, staff. We'll get started. When California voters created the Citizens Redistricting Commission, their hope was that an independent panel could and would draw fair district lines in a transparent process and end the partisan gerrymandering of the past. California, we as a commission are here to tell you that that day is here. Today, the commission voted to move forward its preliminary final Assembly, Senate, Board of Equalization, and congressional maps. On August 15th, the commission will reconvene to vote on adopting these maps. The process has indeed been a partnership with the public. From Redding to San Marcos, from Santa Rosa to Norco, thousands of individuals came and provided their public testimony. Tens of thousands more provided their comments in writing for consideration by the commission. Through that process, the commission has heard from an incredibly diverse cross-section of California. And that testimony has in turn been incredibly important to the manner in which we have drawn these district lines. There is no secret as to how the commission drew the lines. It has been a completely open and transparent process. Every step of the way, the commission followed our clear, ranked, voter-approved criteria as set forward in the California Constitution, including adherence to the Federal Voting Rights Act. Unlike redistricting of the past, this commission never considered political party registration, nor the living residences of incumbents or candidates. In complying with the law, the commission is confident that these maps will prevail against any and all legal challenges. We also believe that the new districts will be upheld in the court of public opinion. That concludes my formal statement. I would like to start by introducing my colleague commissioners and then opening the floor to questions. On my left, I have Commissioner Baraba. He is acting vice chair and incoming chair who will be presiding in the weeks coming forward. Behind him, we have Commissioner Yao, Commissioner Raya, Commissioner Ontai, Commissioner Anchetta, Commissioner Fulkins-Weber, Commissioner Parvenu, Commissioner Ward, Commissioner DeGiulio, Commissioner Aguirre, Commissioner Dye, Commissioner Forbes, and Commissioner Blanco. So with that, I would like to entertain your questions. Yes?
This one's actually for Commissioner Ward. My name is Judy Lynn with the Associated Press. He was the one who consistently voted no on the plan, and I wonder if he could address, why you dissented.
Yes, we all had the opportunity to vote this morning and discuss the maps, and I did that along with the rest of the commission, and I really have no further comment regarding my vote at this time. Thank you.
We have prided ourselves as a commission on our diversity, and we have not shied away from engaging in lively, principled, transparent debate. Next question.
Can I hear some discussion and lively discussion of kinds of issues that were controversial on the panel leading up to the vote?
I would say that all of our deliberations are available online and transcripted, and the deliberations that we've had really speak for themselves. So unless you have a more detailed question.
My more detailed question would be why Mr. Ward voted no. But,
Okay.
You identify yourself?
Mr. Martinez, Pacifica Radio.
Other questions? Please.
The Ventura County Star. Could you talk about the changes that transpired between the draft maps that you put out June 10th and the maps that you adopted today? There were, for instance, a lot of criticism from some within the Latino community that you had not made a sufficient number of majority-minority Latino districts. That number has increased substantially. So could you talk about that and other changes that you made in response to public input between the draft and the final maps?
Definitely. Our purpose today is not to discuss individual districts, but what I can say is that at the time that we released our draft maps on June 10th, we were still in the process of conducting our Voting Rights Act analysis. So we had always anticipated as a commission that there would be substantial changes between those draft maps and between the final maps, and that is definitely evident in the final product that you have before you today. I would invite if Commissioners Baraba or DiGiulio have anything to add on this question. Okay.
Specifically, John Myers from KQED Public Radio. In some of the concerns that have been raised about the maps or the process from some of the Latino community, there is a belief that from as one of them said to me, that the Voting Rights Act says if you can draw a VRA district, in particular a Section 2 majority-minority district, you have to draw it. And they believe you could have drawn more, you did not draw enough.
We are confident as a commission that we followed all of our ranked criteria in the Constitution, including the Voting Rights Act. And we did so in consideration of all language, ethnic, and racial minorities.
And as a follow-up, there's also been concern that you spent too much time worrying about communities of interest and not the VRA and not the other issues. The communities of interest tend to dominate the process.
We have, as a commission, taken very seriously not just the list of criteria we had, but applying them in the constitutionally approved by the voters order in which we were given them.
Yes. Julie Small, KPCC. Can you talk about what comes next? As I understand it, there's not going to be any change to these final draft maps, and also your anticipation of deciding to keep on staff in case of a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'll take those questions one at a time. When we reconvene and come back to Sacramento on August 15th, we will be voting to adopt the maps. At that point, we will submit them to the Secretary of State for certification. From that point, the Department of Justice needs to clear the 4 counties that are covered under Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. Those are Merced, Yuba, Monterey, and Kings counties. From that date, August 15th, the public has 45 days to file any complaints. Those complaints would be reviewed by the California Supreme Court. We anticipate that our maps would take effect in time for the June primary 2012, unless we find ourselves in a situation where the state Supreme Court or a federal district court issues an order that would preclude their use. We have decided to retain our staff for the immediate time being. Any redistricting process, no matter what commission form it took, is typically subject to legal challenges. And given the uncertain litigation environment in which we find ourselves, and the fact that we as a commission are solely responsible for defending these maps on the part of the California citizens, we have decided that we do need to have that staff on hand in the event we need their support. So this is something we do plan to reevaluate as the months go on.
Are you aware of any challenges that are filed, whether it's through the referendum or the legal process?
We have not been made aware of any specific challenges. Clearly, throughout the process, there have been groups who have indicated dissatisfaction with one or more aspects of either the process or the maps, but we have no evidence that those will come to bear. But we, of course, are attentive that they might.
Clearly, the only thing in the 14 days that the public looks at this, the only thing you can do on August 15th is to vote up or vote down. You're no longer drawing maps. Do any of you believe, and I know this is premature, but do any of you believe there's anything out there you could hear that would change your vote from it was today?
Commissioner Baraba, would you like to weigh in?
At the microphone, if you would, sir. Thank you.
Push the button. Unless there was some error in the way in which the calculation took place on the districts that was sufficient to warrant a review, I can't think of anything that we haven't already talked about that we would consider changing. But we'd have to find something dramatically unexpected, would be my guess.
But that would be an error, if I could follow up, that would require you to vote them down, because you can't obviously fix it.
This is the first time for all of us, and I'm not sure there's anything that we can't do, but we would try to make sure that we met our obligation. And if it was the kind of error that could be fixed, we would try to figure out a way to do that. But again, we would have to follow the rules.
And could I just, with indulgence, just if there's anyone, I'm just curious if the public reaction to these maps, and if I could set aside the technical data point that you made, if public reaction to these maps was, I don't know what it would be. I mean, is there anything that the public could say that would change your mind on the way you voted today? Anyone who's up there?
I mean, the public has the right to come forward and follow the rules as we have, and they should do that. And if it was that bad, they have recourse through the Supreme Court, and that's what they should take advantage of.
I would say in the weeks ahead, as we've been doing over the past months, each of us as commissioners has personally reviewed the tens of thousands of comments that are coming in, and we will continue to do so because this is a vote to move our preliminary final maps forward. We still have to come back and formally adopt them on August 15th, so we very much do want to hear from the public now that they have a final product to review.
This is, of course, the first time for this, first in the nation for this sort of commission, and it's been very all-consuming, I'm sure, for you who have been involved. Would any of the commissioners like to comment on what it has been like, just on a personal basis, and was it what you expected? I'd love to hear from you guys about what it's been like. Any takers?
Okay. Michelle DiGiulio. Gosh, to speak for everyone, I would just say probably that when we all signed up for this, we really did. From the very beginning, we really believed in this process, and we knew intuitively that it would be a lot of work. But because this process hadn't been done before, the level of which we would be doing things and the amount of response that we've received from the public and to the extent to which we have always maintained transparency and tried to get the public involved as much as possible, I think benefited the process. I think the downside for us individually is it meant a lot of work, a lot of hours, and I will tell you honestly that if anything was sacrificed in this, it was our own personal lives. It was our time, it was our work, it was our vacations, it was our children. And this is, Commissioner Galambos, Malloy, and I are probably in a unique situation having very young children, and everyone here on this commission has really sacrificed, but I think the additional element of having young children and spouses that have took on single-parent roles was even that much more extraordinary. And I won't speak for Connie, but I think none of us would trade it for anything. I think it's been worth it every step of the way, and I think we feel like we really did an incredible service for the people of California.
Thanks.
Commissioner Baraba?
It really was hard, but the rewards were also significant. And this morning's Los Angeles Times, John Heffel wrote an article which really sort of summarized everything that went on. I thought it was very complete, but the one thing that it was the reward part of this is that, I was raised in the state of California, and as you could tell, have lived here for a long time. But you don't really know the state as driving through these communities. You got to stop, and you have to get a chance to talk to people, which is not often provided you. But when hundreds of people show up at a meeting to tell you what they feel, you get a much different impression.